We continue with the frequent asked questions. One of the most common asked question always sometimes I talk with people is always sometimes people will compare this with the general network security scanner. They will thought that network security scanner can do everything, include of the web scanner domain. It is in certain place, but there has some big, huge differences that the normal network scanner may not be help you in it. So for me, we're starting with a very quick demonstration in what I call it web application architecture. So as all we know that web application is actually include of a lot of the component and element. I start with one way, for example, web client. The one that where the normal browser is there. It can be your laptop, it can be your desktop, it can be your mobile phone that has Safari, you have your Chrome, IE Firefox installed as a client. It will connect to the web server. It depends, it can be the Apache web server or it can be Microsoft IIS web server, right? And then you have the application server where your application code is located and executed. From common one, well, you know, we have the PHP, we have the .NET application or even the Java. And then, of course, it's an application server that is connected to the database server, a common like SQL, Microsoft SQL, MySQL, Oracle DB2, and so on, where you will talk with the connector. Here, put a demonstration for Antio. It depends on your application. The more important it is, usually they have multiple tier to doing the work with the cluster or load balance. For some company, these three layers will be the same boxes to cut costs, but some company, due to reason for the significant important for the application, usually they will split into the multiple different boxes to doing the work here. So, and then here is why this diagram do this way. Web client talking with web server to the request and transport, because this is what the HTTP language is about. So that and then this transport, usually from secure application we were running for SSL, right? Or we call it for free. So to the encrypted packet. So this thing here will request, then you will respond. So for example, I have a user ID and password to log in. Basically, this web server here don't know whether you are giving the right user ID and password. It is the thing that from here to provide the logic, if the user ID being submitted, I will be from here, I will talk in SQL language based on ABC user, check inside the database, have this user or not, password match or not. If no match, show you into different page, or if page is the user is inside the database, grant access, then you can continue using on that section to do it for what the web application is used for. As you can see, this kind of the web application architecture is completely different compared with what the work for the normal network scanner doing, because it is scanner to network router to the OS, then to the point. It do not have so many different layers of the potential weak point. I call it weak spot to be perform the hacking and the exploit for the vulnerability on this other layer. From all those areas, it means that you may not be need to start from here. You can start from here. Even though this one here is commonly is for the SQL injection, is what commonly we talk here. And then here usually is on the script, we call it scripting thing here. And then in this transport thing here, commonly we will need to be testing for the transport. Usually we call how to perform the hijack of the sections, right? How to be manipulate those the cookie, whether you know the cookie, and then the session ID, all those things here. And then here usually exploit on the web server, in particular like some old versions of the Apache, they have some vulnerability that may lead to the point of exploit on that version and doing their work here. And then this one is usually will be exploit on your application vulnerability, such as from your code, because sometimes in your code, that the way you write the logic that make the people to come in. And then, of course, world is moving also to not just the tradition like this. People also moving to like web services, right? So, so the scanner sometimes need to be able to test the web scanner. And then one more thing nowadays in what we learn is that most of our website is a HTML file. Need to be ready because most of people nowadays is accessed through the mobile phone, right? So that you need to be able to testing for the HTML file interface, right? So this is all those things that, as you can see, that not a traditional network scanner can do, or its original design to doing this way. This is why the value for web scanner continue to be in place and to complement for the normal generic network scanner. And we can continue to further exploit the thing here, because sometimes people want to know the differences is that as usually web hacking, usually there will be more some step and sequence. It may not be follow the sequence, it depends on how expert the hacker will be talking. Well, we'll usually start from the profiling, web server hacking, survey your application, attack the authentications, attack authorization, attack section state management, improve value attack web data store, I mean your database backend like demonstrated earlier. So, and then the attack the web application management, usually because nowadays it's quite popular, people using framework. For example, using the WordPress, using Joomla, using Drupal, all those things, always have them console, right? So sometimes people hack from them, that's it. So, and hacking from a web client, meaning from your browser apps, right? And then for some case study on how all those things here. So this is the common workflow for the how most of the web scanner is programmed and assist you to carry out the automate or to automate auto task to make the job easier, right? This is one of the different points also compared with the generic network scanner, why the web scanner had to continue to provide the value this way. In just the last slide that I provide, you still cannot imagine how many complicated tasks web scanner is doing compared with the generic network scanner. You can see, sorry, this screen is actually designed to be big print, so that it has a lot, even for profiling. You need to survey the website, doing discover from the services, all those things, blah blah blah. At the same time, for website level, what kind of the Apache or whatever version of thing here, and then survey the applications, and then from the attack the authentication, such as we perform the typically we will perform the recalling brute force, right? User ID and password tracking with the traditionally mounting all those things, and then so section like the cookie, the token, right? Store in the memory, all these kind of mechanism, how to know about the section state, the ID, all those things, and then the improve variation attack. How about I change something in your UI, we test how your application will behave, right? And then the database, because sometimes is the version of the database that you install backend that cause a problem, either due to reason of the version or due to the bug, right? Inside the particular versions, right? And then for hacking, we're talking about the web browser, all versions browser, and then or launch the denial attack, and so on. Those things is commonly people is using web vulnerability scanner to address, not the network general scanner.